Color styles in Framer have a major trick up their sleeve: the ability to split them between themes for light and dark mode, which means a single color style can dynamically switch themes based on your visitor's device settings. If a visitor's device is set to light mode, your site loads the light theme. And if their device is set to dark mode, your site automatically loads the dark theme instead. Let's take a look at how crazy easy it is to make this happen in Framer. In the previous lesson, we looked at how to create color styles and apply them to the properties of layers, which is how we ended up with this example project with some color styles that have already been created and applied to the appropriate layers. But each time we created a new color style, we were technically only defining the color for the light mode theme, which is always what will happen by default. Think of the light mode theme as the base theme. It's the dark mode theme that we have to go out of our way to define if and when we decide to do so. And we do this one color style at a time. When we create or edit a color style, we get this little toggle that always starts off in light mode. But when we toggle over, we can set a different color for dark mode, which means every property connected to this color style will be able to swap back and forth. But if I play around with the dark mode version of this color, we're not getting any visual feedback on the canvas. And the reason for that is that the canvas is still set to show us light mode. Down here, we have a little toggle to go between light mode and dark mode. And you might have thought that that just toggles the Framer UI, because the Framer UI actually does go from light mode to dark mode. But more importantly, we are now seeing the dark mode version of all of our color styles directly on the canvas. So for my content 100, my highest contrast content, I'm going to go all the way up here to white, which looks terrible at the moment, but give it a sec. Now let's go down to content inverted, which is the content that is reversed against our theme. Before, in our light theme, it was light. So naturally, in our dark theme, we'd want it to be dark. So I'm going to go all the way to black on this. Our content 50, which is our kind of middle gray content, I'm actually going to try to leave that alone. I'm going to see if that looks okay in both light mode and dark mode. So I'm not going to switch that one over. But our surface, which is our background color here, I am going to add a dark mode version, and I am going to make that pretty much jet black. Let's just go jet black to keep things simple. And then for surface 1, I'm going to switch over to dark mode. And you'll notice I'm clicking to toggle over to dark mode each time, because when you create a color style, even if you're looking at dark mode on the canvas, it defaults to light mode. That is the base version of the color. So if you want to create a dark mode version of a color, again, you have to explicitly go into the dark mode tab here. And for this surface, which is applied to these cards here, I'm just going to go a little bit of a lighter gray and give it kind of a cool tone. And now I think we're looking good. This whole thing is pretty much themed for dark mode. Now you see why I named my colors the way I did in the previous lesson. I named them after what they do, what their function is within the design, rather than the color that they were, because the color changed and the name wouldn't make sense anymore between light mode and dark mode. Now let's actually publish this thing so I can show you what it looks like in the browser. I'll open up our little staging link. And then here we see dark mode because my computer is actually set to dark mode. But if I open up my system settings and head to the appearance tab, when I switch my operating system from dark mode to light mode, you'll notice that our site responds instantly and automatically. How awesome is that? Now this result is cool and all, but we really kind of took the easy way out and just inverted everything. What if we wanted the footer to stay black instead of flipping to white? Which would also mean the text on the footer should stay white instead of flipping to black. It's an easy fix, really. We just need a couple of color styles that don't change between light mode and dark mode. These are sometimes referred to as static colors. So I'm going to head down here to my footer, and I'm going to select the frame that has the fill applied to it. And I'm going to come down here to the fill, and we can see that it is connected to content 100. But again, like we talked about in the previous lesson, if I make a change up here, it'll automatically become detached from the color style, and I can choose to create a new style. So in this case, I'm going to name this static / static black. Now, the reason I'm calling it static black, even though I said not to name the color after the color that it appears to be, is because this static black is always going to be black. So it's totally cool in this case. And I'm going to click create. Now, because I didn't explicitly set a dark mode version of this color, it's going to remain the same. All of the layers that are attached to this style are going to remain the same, whether we're in light mode or dark mode. You can see here, if I toggle back and forth on the canvas, the black stays black. I just got to do the same thing for these white layers here. So I'm going to select all of these, holding the Shift key so I can select each one. And then I'm going to come down here, and for the color of these, I'll wiggle this up here to detach it from the style, make it white, and then I'll come down here to New Style and name it Static / to create a folder called Static, and I'll name this one Static White. And when I click Create, there we go. Now I have static black and static white, and when I toggle back and forth, everything that uses the static black or static white doesn't change. But what if we've created a dark mode version of a color and we later change our minds and we say, you know what, I want this to be static instead? That's also an easy fix. Back on the assets panel, let's say that content 50, that middle gray that I said I didn't want to change in dark mode. Let's say that I accidentally fiddled with this and now I've got a dark mode color that I don't want. At any point on the assets panel, I can go to the overflow menu and I can choose clear dark style. Now we're back to just having the one static light mode style that'll show up in both light mode and dark mode. And there you have it. Now you know how easy it is to create light and dark themes for your color styles, and how to be selective about what changes dynamically and what remains static. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.